Disney's done it again. They managed to make a movie that flopped harder than Wish at the box office. To be honest, I didn't have high expectations for this movie, and we all expected Disney to remake this movie as a mindless cash grab. But to me, this is an insult to the movie that practically made their company. Snow White was made in 1937. It was Disney's very first animated feature. It was also the very first animated movie to be made, period. Whatever you think about the movie itself, you can't deny that this movie is an important piece of animation history. The original movie itself was more to demonstrate not only what you can do with animation, but what you can only do with animation. Even in today's standards, this movie's visuals holds up so well because with animation you can make a movie feel so timeless. That's why remaking this movie into live action was the worst fucking decision Disney could have made. And it doesn't help that the movie sucked. The lead up for this movie was a disaster. I haven't seen this much controversy for a film since the Sonic movie. From the CGI dwarves to Rachel Zegler flat out hitting on the source material.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
And now that the movie's out, she's apparently suing Disney. I'm glad this movie's bombing right now at the box office, since only 2 days ago, as of recording this video, Disney apparently paused production for the Tangled live-action remake. My biggest problem with these live-action remakes is the set design and props. Apart from certain scenes, for the most part, this movie feels super dull. In animation, you can make everything feel super colorful and full of life, but when you're restricted to the confines of live action, you get something that went from this to this. Or this to this. I think the only live-action remake that gets this right is the 2015 Cinderella movie. I mean, look at this dress. It's gorgeous. How did we go from this fabulous dress to this Spirit Halloween costume? This doesn't mean I'm advocating for more live-action remakes. What I'm saying is if Disney's going to make these live-action remakes, at least do it right. But something that Disney has been recently super enthusiastic about for these remakes is the princess race swap. It started with Ariel and it continues with Snow White. In fact, Disney was so dedicated to the race swap, they changed the meaning behind her name. In the original, she's named Snow White because her skin is as white as snow. But here, her name is Snow White because these irresponsible parents decided to go out in the middle of a blizzard in a carriage while the queen is 8 to 9 months pregnant. So they decided to name her Snow White because she was born in the middle of a blizzard. I cannot make this up even if I tried. Like, what the f***? And the dwarves. The dwarves. Yeah, so apparently 2 years ago, originally the dwarves were supposed to be these 7 humans, but for some reason Disney decided to just not go with that idea and instead make them into bandits in the final cut while also having the dwarves in the movie. They don't really add anything to the plot other than them just being this movie's version of the prince's gang. I guess I forgot to mention, but Disney just wrote off the prince completely and instead replaced him with a bandit who tries to steal from the palace that Snow White lives in. Yeah, so this romance is more forced than the songs in this movie. The songs in this movie suck. It just went from one musical number to another shitty musical number, and they dragged on for so long. The one I hated the most was the mining song with the dwarves, which is ironic considering it was my favorite song in the original. Anyways, in this movie, they decided to make the dwarves magical, so when their hands touch the rocks in the mines, the rocks glow to show them where to mine. This basically adds nothing to the plot and feels super unnecessary. Speaking of the dwarves, they decided to make Dopey, the idiot, the most prominent dwarf, with this very forced character arc of him not being able to speak, but at the end isn't afraid anymore and is able to speak after the bandit revives Snow White. Like, what the f***? The worst part about this movie for me was the queen's entire motive. So in the original, the evil queen wants to be the fairest one of all, essentially being the prettiest in her kingdom. But in the remake, the word fair means that she wants to be the fairest one of all in the sense of inner beauty, which makes no sense, because even if she does kill Snow White, the mirror would just name some other random person who lives in the kingdom. The biggest problem with this movie is that even if you're a fan of the original 1937 Snow White, you're gonna hate how they ruined all of these beloved characters. And if you're watching this movie as a standalone experience, you're gonna hate it because the movie itself just sucks. Snow White 2025, 1 out of 10. Would rate it lower if I could.